Hi and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. Okay, this is Mailbag, common feature of the channel. It's where I attempt to answer questions that you guys have left on the channel, or if I can't answer them, I have a good go at answering them, or I throw them out to the wider tubing community to try and answer on behalf of somebody who's raised the question. Now, we'll get into this mailbag. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Okay, this question comes from Francis Joe, and it's in response to actually, funny enough, I've got this thing on the bench. It's in response to the Roland U-20 demo songs, a video I did way back in July 2017, and here is a U20 which I am just about to crack open to repair this key. I haven't repaired it. It's one of the projects I've got to repair. I'm slowly starting to move through the projects and be able to video the interesting ones for you guys to see. But this one is the next project that is going to be tackled by me, this U20. And I haven't been doing very much work over the last few weeks, and it will become apparent on the channel shortly. But I'll keep that until then. Anyway, Francis Joe writes, I remember the U20 because someone I know made an elaborate plan to get someone to import a D-50 from the US. Back then, India had exorbitant customs duties on imported electronics. Only exemption was if it was relocating back to India after a long stint overseas. Now, India wasn't the only country that had extortionate import duties on electronics coming into the country. A lot of countries were trying to save their internal electronics industry from the onslaught of the Far East and cheap components. So a lot of countries really had horrendous import tariffs. I think before Europe became the European Union as we know it now, several countries in Europe had really high import tariffs. I think in the UK following Brexit now we're about 14%, which is still, I think, a little bit over the top. But, you know, we are where we are. Anyway, I'll carry on because that's... So, the fine day dawned and our man lands at the carrier's door in Sunday best, and it is led into to an inside room, and there was the taped up carton out of which the Roland logo was visible. He got it home, eagerly cut through the tape and cardboard, and voila, there was a U20. He asked for a D-50. He hadn't even heard of it. He almost passed out, and then he called the guy. The carrier vehemently said that was what he was given to him by his friend. He then made the overseas call and was told, this is U20, and I asked for a D-50. He said, U20 is the latest and D-50 is old and outdated. I'm sorry, what a load of bollocks. you know, having taken for a ride. He said the U20 is the latest and D-50 is old and outdated. U comes much later than D in English. Now money gone, he settled with it. Not that he needed to go beyond any of the stock tones in it for his gigs. A rush of memories back 30 plus years. Now, what I'd like to say is this is the problem, was the problem with doing over territory transactions. In that the guy in another territory basically could do whatever they liked, and, you know, they had your money and you had whatever they deemed fit to send you, which seems to be the case here, which is the U20 was sent rather than a D-50, and they were basically having you on because the D-50 was by far the better machine if you were looking to compose tones. If you were just looking to play tones, you know what, this little thing behind me and its rack mount brothers were very, very good machines. In fact, you know, I've said many times on the channel that the U110 and the U220 I use when the studio was up and running. I use them all the time for giving me stock bandwidth, strings, brass, pads, a lot of that sort of stuff I used because the sample cards that Roland pushed out for those, and there are 15 sample cards for this thing, were damn good. You know, for the time, they were very, very good. And they gave this thing a very, very long life. And as I say, I used them, you know, the studio I packed up 2 years ago, but until then, I was using them all the time. So don't dismiss the sounds that these things can make. It's a little bit noisy by today's standard, but still really, really great sounds. So, you know, Francis, I think that is an absolutely fab story. And thank you for sharing that with the channel. It's a shame he didn't get his D-50. But as I said, you know, if you don't need to modify the tones, the D-50 is like all synthesizers. You know, they come with stock sounds. You may be able to get away with stock sounds. But if you're really a musician that likes to home and change and target sounds, then you know you do need a synthesizer that you can change. This is a Roppler. This is really a true Roppler. You cannot change the tones on a Roppler. What you've got, a few parameters you can change, a few filters you may be able to change, add some chorus, add some delay, add some reverb, but that's about it on a Roppler. So anyway, thank you for sharing. Next question from Andrew Glassy. Response to JX-3P Jackanory time, an SMR I did in June 2021. Andrew writes, "Hiya, hope you enjoyed the JX-3P XP. That was a Windows operating system. Note you can edit from the front panel without the programmer or iPad. I've got a programmer for mine and it does make things easier, but editing the synth without it is still fairly easy from the front panel and all the parameters are to hand." And what I would say is thank you, Andrew, for making that clear, and it's something that I probably should make clear to the rest of the viewers who are thinking about acquiring a JX-3P. I was aware you can program from the machine from the front panel. The schematic on the right hand side was useful, but I didn't really get much time with it because Richard, who was the guy who actually owned the machine and lent it to me, had it up for sale, and as soon as I got it, he managed to sell it. In fact, we went through a series of machines like this over the summer, where he lent me the machine to do some video, and no sooner did he lent me the machine, it was sold. We had the same issue with the JX-8P he had, the Poly 61 he had. So, so you know, it's one of those things. I think he just kept lending me the machines that he wanted to sell. I managed to get some videos made. Now, what I will say about the programming from the front panel, while I understand you can program it from the front panel, and I think probably with the 3P there were fewer parameters to program than the 8P, because you can't program the 8P from the front panel would be a tedious pain in the rear end. So thank you very much for putting me straight on the programmer for the JX-3P.